Welcome to Sunshine Cathedral's Queer God Squad. It's Friday, January 10th, 2025. I am Bishop Darrell Watkins, the senior minister here at Sunshine Cathedral. And with me today is Sunshine Cathedral's executive minister, he's also my husband, Bishop Robert Griffin, and Sunshine Cathedral's Minister of Connections, the Reverend Dr. Ann Atwell. Visit sunshinecathedral.org to learn more about our progressive faith community and how you can be a part of it no matter where you live in the world. And if you live in South Florida, be sure to check out the Sunshine Cathedral Center for the Performing Arts, offering entertainment for the LGBTQ+ community to benefit the LGBTQ+ community. If you enjoy the Queer God Squad, please share this or other episodes with your friends, family, and social media communities. At Sunshine Cathedral, we're here to tell you that you are God's miracle, not God's mistake. This is the Sunshine Cathedral perspective. Queer God Squad pays tribute to queer gods. What? We sometimes wonder if St. Paul was a latent homosexual, maybe not so latent, or if Jesus was gay or bisexual. And we have biblical descriptions of God as male, female, both, and neither. But beyond our myths and traditions, there are gay gods and trans deities. For example, in the Greek pantheon, we see Zeus, who knocked up lots of women, human women, but also found himself overwhelmingly attracted to a young man named Ganymede and made him his lover. Apollo had male and female lovers, including the god of marriage, suggesting possibly that their affair was actually a marriage. Pan was known to pursue women and men. And Dionysus, the party god, the deity of theater, wine, revelry, and madness, had an affair with the male satyr, Ampelos. And the Amazons were a culture of warrior women who kept male slaves for breeding, but otherwise had no use for men. Famous lesbian Sappho believed that Aphrodite was an ally to both lesbians and gay men. Aphrodite's son, Eros, was the protector of homosexual culture. In Egyptian legends, Hatshepsut served as possibly the first transgender figure in history. Being assigned a female identity at birth, she dressed as a man and was often drawn as a man. The girl was raised as a boy because her father wanted a son. And as a boy, that person grew up to fall in love with a girl. So that they could be wed, Isis turned the girl raised as a boy into a biological boy. Love won, and transgender reality was blessed and facilitated by a goddess. The first deity in Egyptian lore, Atum, was both male and female, intersex, we might say today. And in Hinduism, Vishnu, the protector of the world, is gender fluid. Queerness is not only as old as time, it has always been connected to the sacred, which comes as no surprise to the Queer God Squad. I love that at Sunshine Cathedral, we are not apologetic about our queer culture, our queer history, our queer identity. And sometimes people in the queer community, they have been so damaged, so hurt, so ostracized that they shy away from it. It almost sounds too good to be true, and so they don't quite trust it. Or even some of the language we use, because it was used abusively, rather than being able to reclaim it, they just cling to how it hurt them on the playground in the third grade. Forgetting or not realizing that for the last 40 years, we have reclaimed a lot of that. We have made academic studies of that. We have made political movements out of it. And I wish they had noticed, because then they'd feel a lot better about it all and about the diversity. Of course, we have some very conservative people in the movement, but you don't have to be. We have some super wacky liberal people, and a lot of us, along the spectrum. And so, but I love that we're not apologetic. Apologetics in religion is you sort of defend the faith. You defend your position. This is the way it has to be, and we're going to prove it, and then there's no other way. And that's just not how queer religion is. That we don't have to defend the old ways. We can explore new ways. We can explore older ways. And we can put it all into the mix. We're very investigative. We're very exploratory. We love evidence. We love literature. We love comparisons. We love myth. And so yes, we do a lot of searching for our queer ancestors in the Bible. And there's even more in early church history and then in later church history, but I am fascinated that it's not even limited to our history. That the Greek gods, the Egyptian gods, the Roman gods, the Hindu gods, that everywhere, even in cultures that aren't necessarily gay friendly or lesbian friendly or bi friendly or trans friendly, they still have in their culture stories of their gods who were, or not only friendly, sometimes they were queer themselves. And the idea, I mean, religion is a queer thing anyway. This idea that we have gods that we can't see and we can't hear, but we trust that they hear us, and that what we think and say and ask and want matters to them, and that somehow they have rules for us that we ought to follow, even though they didn't tell us. But they told somebody who wrote it down, and we just believe that. I mean, that's a queer business. And queer as in odd, queer as in unlikely, queer as in spoiling the nature of how you would think things ought to be. Queer as in resisting what should be the norm or whatever. And so religion is a queer business. And so I love that we let this queer business explore queer experiences, queer identities, queer stories, and even lift them up, celebrate them. Because these are our lives, and our lives are sacred, and we have sacred stories affirming that.
As you was reading through all that, I just kept thinking when I was in high school, and my literature teacher taught a lot of these names. As I said, she taught a lot of the names, but not a lot of the stories like this that was behind those names. And I think that's one of the things I find fascinating about now that we look back at the stories behind them. We find ourselves in this section of history. Now, we were never not there to begin with, but it's like, I thought about it, it's like, wow, I didn't think, or she didn't think, or maybe she knew that, but none of the sexuality or the gender identity stuff that we know of, they came out from those stories as this little kid growing up in Alabama. But today, when I listen to these stories and studied them over the years and listen to them now, it's like there is a reclaiming of our identity in scripture or in literature and history, and we can find ourselves. And what I like about this exploration is with these different individuals, is that you get to find which one you want to play with. You get to find out which one you want to make your God, or allow their teachings to impose upon you, or their influence through what we know about them in literature and know about them from history. And that's the fun part about the tribute to the queer gods is, oh, this one is queer, this is what I like, or this had this one and this. And so I think even today as we think about our queer selves, or I think about my queer self, there's different ones in these literature and these pantheons and all these different gods. Like, I can get that. I can get behind that. I can get how that came to be, or why that was, or what that might look like, or even play with it, a little bit to say, wow, this god did that, and they allowed that, and no one had any issue with that, and what happened,
And the crossover, the Zeus, of all the gods, Zeus is most like the depiction of Yahweh. So if Zeus has Ganymede as a lover, that opens up possibilities, for Yahweh. Dionysus is most like Jesus in the myths. And if Dionysus had a lover, that opens up possibilities. Of course, we have some pretty good ideas of who Jesus' lover or lovers might have been. But Dionysus makes it clear, and you can then make that connection. I love that we don't apologize. We don't try to defend or justify. We just say our queerness is part of our sacredness. It's life's gift to us, and how we celebrate it is our gift to life. And we can find stories to celebrate that. And if we couldn't, we'd have to make them up, and we would. We're very creative. We could do that.
I'm gonna let you.
But I think even with Paul, Paul is what we know or don't know about Paul. What I do like about it is Paul can introduce this to us in a different kind of way, because Paul was that character as a kid growing up. He had a thorn in his flesh, and everybody made it what that thorn in the flesh was about. That whole story, if you follow that thing. But whether we know yes or no about these stories specifically, what I do like about it is what we can take away from them, and they can empower us to live our lives very differently and live our lives very queer.
Yeah. What I like also about some of these older stories is how playful they were. Now, they can be also dangerous. I mean, I don't know that Ganymede consented. I think because Zeus turns himself into an eagle and just sort of snatches him up. I don't know. And then Ganymede became a cupbearer to the gods. Well, whenever you see cupbearers in scripture, they're eunuchs, and we know what all that is about. But so they could be, but they can also be very playful, like Dionysus. Just life is one big festive banquet party, and then he has this lover, and but then also Pan. Pan would chase around nymphs, humans, men, women, and a lot of times the story or the pictures would show him doing it around. Of course, he's naked; he's half goat, half person, so he doesn't wear clothes. And it would show him chasing people with an erection. It's like he's ready to go, and just this playful, picture. And so I think religion should be playful, and that these stories give us not only, there's some queer characters, there's some queer activity, but there's also some imagination and just some joy. If your religion isn't bringing you joy, ditch it, get another one, or find something else. But it should bring you not only hope and not only comfort, but also joy. Have a good time. Well, that's today with the Queer God Squad. We want to thank you for joining us. We're here daily at 3 p.m. to have some fun and to discuss what our LGBTQ plus community is talking about.
Sunshine Cathedral is the world's leading progressive queer church. Progressive, queer, and God are words that naturally should go together.
We are all in this together. Remember that.
You are God's miracle, not God's mistake. Until next time, we are the Queer God Squad. Goodbye.